Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. Your Oklahoma Sooners just won the season opener yesterday. We're recording this on Sunday, August 31st. Sooners win the season opener 35-3 over the Illinois State Redbirds in a game that, openers are weird sometimes. I feel like either there's like a definitive, like, oh, they looked awesome, let's try to not overreact to it, or they come out flat and it's just a little weird. This game was kind of neither of those. It was as Brent Venables described, a vanilla performance, a vanilla game. But there's a lot to talk about for it. A lot of interesting things. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we got Ty Lee, we got Jameson Maxwell. And Jameson, do you buy that this was a vanilla game, vanilla performance, or do you think it's sort of a little bit of cope?
I mean, Brent Venables said it in the post-game interview on the field and in the post-game interview during media time. So I think he's really trying to push a narrative, and I think that he truly did make it vanilla because it looks the fact too. But when it comes down to it, there's still a lot you can kind of nitpick, but I feel like there's still a lot more to learn, because if you don't recall, last year at this point, there are a lot of Jackson Arnold believers still, so the season is extremely young. I think he had, 4 touchdowns or something last year? Hold on, let me pull it up. I mean, there's still a lot to learn. And so here we go. We was 51-3 versus Temple. I understand it's Temple, but Jackson Arnold threw for 4 touchdowns in that game. So let's kind of chill out a little bit and then learn a lot next week.
Right. Yeah, it was very, I get, it wasn't, at least, when you look at the points scored, 35 isn't jaw-dropping, not close to half 100, that sort of deal. But, as Austin in the comments is, mentioning, it was the most passing yards in a debut by a Sooner quarterback, passing Baker Mayfield, against Akron. There were some pretty big moments. You could kind of tell that some guys were being held out. There was some weirdness with Jade not really playing much. And we'll kind of dive deeper into it. But overall, I agree with the assessment. It didn't feel like, a full bore, let's, throw the kitchen sink at it type of effort. But, hey, that's why you have Michigan.
And we would get mad at Lincoln Riley for doing stuff like this. Like, oh, he's being too vanilla. But honestly, in this scenario, it's kind of a perfect time to be vanilla.
Agreed. Ty, what do you think?
Lincoln Riley put up 70 points in his season opener.
Yeah, his vanilla is a lot different.
No, I think it can be both. They're not mutually exclusive. This could both be an intentionally vanilla performance from OU, which I do believe Brent Venables when he says that. But at the same time, it was also a pretty flat performance a lot of times, right? Things like fumbles, that's going to occur. So I don't want to necessarily dive into that too much. But we didn't go out. There is no possible way that we sent our offense out there on the first drive and thought that we would go 3-0. We weren't like, oh, we're going to be really vanilla. If we have to punt, we have to punt. There is no possible way that conversation was had. And again, right, one drive, the opening drive of the season, but it absolutely was a flat performance. And I think if you look at, how late we kept Mateer in the game when it was not a great score, but the game was over. We didn't need to be with our starters out there with 4 minutes to go and having Mateer gunning for touchdowns and stuff. I'm glad it happened. This was one of those weird ones where when you watch the game, it didn't necessarily feel like we passed the eye test. But then if you look at the box score, you're like, okay, it didn't feel right, but looking at the data, right, you can't nitpick it. Mateer's performance, I don't think anyone can really criticize. Some teething issues and some chemistry issues for sure. They're still trying to figure out that timing, but 30 for 37, almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns is a tremendous performance, particularly when your one interception was a deflection. So that's an excellent performance. And again, I think some of the play calling, some of the schemes, I guess, that we had strategy-wise are really what held people back. And then, I think we'll dive into this receiver room a little bit and figuring out where that chemistry and where that go-to guy is, because I felt like it was solved in this game, but maybe it wasn't solved in this game. So certainly interesting to dive into. Defensively, I think pretty solid performance. And just before we go, I did want to shout out Illinois State as well. They came to play. And this is not a hedge. This is not an excuse. if you look at their box score, right, they had 27 dudes register tackles. They were putting anyone and everyone in there to get all their dudes some experience playing against this Oklahoma team. Kind of see the same thing on offense. Like they came to play. You could tell they were fired up. You could tell that they came with intention and they were going to use this game to fight hard, show what they could do, but then also develop their guys. Like that's super impressive. They were rotating people from the start. Like this wasn't like a garbage time. Like let's put everyone in. So shout out to Illinois State. I feel like I saw a lot of heart from them for a season opener that you don't typically see. So I think that's a team that's going to be very successful down the road in this season. Again, just trying to shut them out.
No, I agree. I came away pretty impressed with Illinois State, in terms of, that I feel like these FCS teams that, do win and are, make runs in the FCS playoffs and, are used to winning games. They're a tougher out than like a Temple who is used to just getting pummeled every week. Because, when you're a winner and when you have, that feeling of, we're supposed to be good, we're used to winning games, you have a bit of a confidence, a bit of an edge. I think Illinois State, that they definitely gave OU some fight, especially early on. Those first two drives, I thought they were pretty impressive. I would be surprised if Temple or Kent State were better than Illinois State.
Oh,
like
Temple, I don't know, man. Did you not see what Temple just did to UMass?
I didn't. What did they do to UMass?
So I think like the line on that was pretty close to even, and Temple's quarterback threw for 6 touchdowns, and they had 42 points.
Oh my God!
I'm not trying to hype up Temple, but at the same time, like I think that honestly, we're trying to be too generous to saying like, oh, Illinois State's amazing. It's all this stuff, and it's like, really, were they? Like Wankers really shouldn't be running up the middle and gashing our linebackers like he was.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that talented. He's decent, but like it's not like their best player was their wide receiver who didn't do anything and dropped a ball. Like it's not like these guys were superstars out there. It's supposed to be really good in the FCS, and we're just working us. I think that we did a lot of things that we probably should have shut down earlier.
Well, offensively, I don't think they did really much. It was either a gain of nothing or a little 15, 16-yard run from.
But I think vibes matter. Ty, you said something about the vibes and the feeling, but if you look at the box score, you feel better. I think in these games, vibes matter so much because we've talked about it in past seasons. What felt icky in this game? And take that and think about it in the future. Did the offensive line feel icky to you in this game? A little bit. Did the run game feel icky to you a little bit? It did. What felt rewarding? Keontez Lewis did. Yes, I think these are things that we need to move forward and not look too much at the numbers, but really say, what do I feel? Because we've watched so much OU football and so many openers in our time that we know that we have to kind of go with our gut.
Yeah, I thought Keontez Lewis was, not to give out game balls this early, but I feel like he would be a prime game ball candidate. He was awesome. I thought Deion Burks was exciting. I thought that felt right. Like I felt like that was like the receiving room. Even Kanik at times, outside of the fumble, I thought was impressive. The work kind of down the middle, I felt that felt right. It felt like we had something working, through the air for the first time in a good while. The passing total, by the way, 100 yards more than the highest passing total from last year.
And that's not a surprise at all. And vibes
not a surprise.
Not a vibes wise. Seeing John Mateer in the backfield, how much more confident were you? And then throw away all your preconceived notions of what he was in the past. Just this game versus watching Jackson Arnold or Michael Hawkins last year in the backfield. How confident were you that he could get his ball to the receiver? Very
infinitely
confident. More. Yes, and that vibe matters so much.
Particularly when you're talking about vibes, that we had sort of an appetizer of Arch Manning before rolling.
I mean, that is true. I mean, dude, Arch Manning's short passing accuracy has got to be plummeting to a 60 or a 70 in college football 26 after that. Like, my God, dude. Good. And it's like, what that tells me is like, that's a dude that's flustered. That's a guy that goes out there and he doesn't have that it factor. Did John Mateer look flustered to you? No. Whenever he cut 3 different ways and got a first down, whenever he was on the run, does that look flustered to you?
Okay, we do.
I understand this is Ohio State versus Illinois State. I get that.
John Mateer was not in the shoot.
I get that. I get that. But what I'm trying to get at is I don't think even John Mateer, if you put him out, I understand what I've done. I understand what I've done here.
Yeah.
But I feel like the John Mateers, like his MO, the way he carries himself is not a guy that's going to get flustered. He might do a little bit too much, but I don't think Arch Manning is going to go do too much. I think it's two completely different kinds of mindsets in a quarterback.
Yeah. When I look at Mateer, and you really have to nitpick, like I watched some highlights coming into this podcast again to kind of re-experience some of the vibes. And it was very different when I then just watched like a cut up highlight. And really, Mateer, it's not a whole ton to criticize. Like you said, the poise, there was maybe a handful of moments that I felt, and I don't think anyone else has said this, and I don't think I'm necessarily an expert, but I do have a podcast. But there were some moments of questionable pocket awareness where I don't know if it's just me, again, OU fans spoiled with quarterbacks, where I expect everyone to have like a Baker or a Kyler or a Jalen Hurts level of, or Caleb Williams level of like pocket awareness, where they're going to get out of some of the stuff that Mateer did not necessarily get out of. But that is really the only thing, and something that can be developed and coached, if that was even an issue. It may not have been, a true issue, but there were some moments, like there was a sack where I'm like,
he gets a little helter.
I know how that occurred.
I
don't think that was
part of who he is.
Yeah, it wasn't an overwhelmed thing. It was more of just it just seems like this is maybe a skill set that to me is a little alarming rolling into SEC play, which is a long way down the road, right? But that's, if I had to nitpick one thing, because I don't want to be on here, the Heisman hype is real and everything else. If I have to nitpick one thing on Mateer, that's maybe a question mark that I'm going to put on the podcast here and see if we might need to circle back to when we get into SEC play or Michigan coming up.
I think that the way Kirk Cousins plays the ball is much different than the way that John Mateer. Kirk Cousins, the type of guy, has great, pocket presence, and he will throw the ball if there's a defender right in front of his face. I think Mateer is the type of guy that prefers to run the ball and then pass on the run. I think that's just where he feels confident. So I think that I see what you're saying, Ty, but at the same time, I kind of want his feet moving as much as he could, because extending plays, getting the defense uncomfortable, getting on the boundary is kind of where he gets all of his yards.
Yeah, and that is kind of his style. He's a bit, bit of an improviser, but I think that's something that's overall pretty positive. I will say I thought the line was a bit dodgy here or there, but
you're right.
That's to be expected with some injuries.
The left tackle position was pitiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was not good.
Jacob Sexton goes down with another injury, Bobby. And we have no Fasusi in this game, which I get. I mean, they're just being careful. I don't know if it has all stemming from him collapsing and going to the hospital. I think that they kind of said that as a nothing burger, but are they just being really, really safe with them based off that? Yeah, maybe. I haven't heard anything of a specific other injury for him or why he got held out.
Yeah, probably just caution. I think there are, definitely some guys who could have played if this was Michigan. I think you probably would have seen Fasusi there. And I think you probably will see Fasusi next week. But yeah, obviously brutal for Jacob Sexton. Just snake bit.
But wouldn't you want Fasusi to play in this game as a true freshman? To you see what Fudge did? Fudge had some good moments, but then he had some bad moments. He pulled him from the right guard into the counter and didn't get all the way, blocked the guy. He had a couple of whiffs. You need that in your first game. What happens if we really need Fasusi at left tackle in this game, which I think we will? Do you want his first couple snaps being against Michigan?
Right. No, and I think that's fair. I think, a lot of that probably did have to stem from that medical situation. And, I can't say for certain, but, kind of feels like
But here's the thing, let's break down the medical part of it. Anytime a guy collapses on the field, you say, is this heat? Is this exhaustion? Or is this cardiac? Is this a heart issue? So I guarantee you, I don't know this, but any kind of high-end university, as soon as a guy passes out, they're going to go and they're going to probably get an EKG on him, and they might even have got an ultrasound of his heart. And then if they had any concerns on there, then that's a whole cardiac thing that will take a long time to get cleared, or maybe even never if something comes back positive, right? But then if it's negative, then why are we babying him out there? It's just a heat stroke. It's just a heat exhaustion. It's a whatever. and should be going. That should be a temporary thing. So I don't understand if it's all from that. Why are we babying a guy? Because I understand the premise of this game. Brent Venables is setting the mood of like, oh, we're being very conservative. We're being very vanilla. We're holding out guys that could have played. But I think in a type of thing like Fasusi, I think that's a negative unless there's something I don't know. And that's part of like analyzing college football is I don't know behind the curtain of what exactly is going on with his health.
Yeah, and I will say, whatever they're doing, if it was a medical thing, they clearly there's just a little bit of weirdness. I think some people talk about like Otts, Ott sitting out or being.
Now, I've got something medical to talk about that, so we need to talk about that.
Because it's like, oh, if his shoulder's beat up, why is he returning kicks? Why did we randomly throw him in 3 plays? Like, it's just a little weird. Ty?
Yeah, on the Ott thing, that's what I was going to say. And this ties back to, are we coping saying this was vanilla or was this intentional? But obviously, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head. Jameson might be able to correct me here a little bit. But this is why the NFL changed it. Your chances of injury on a kick return are way higher than just giving you some runs up the middle if you're a running back. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that we're going to be like, oh, Ott like is recovering or he's not 100%. Like, we're not really going to play him, but we're going to put him back there to return kicks. Like, that doesn't make any sense versus like just getting him some easier reps, maybe try to get him some passes and things like that, where he can just catch the ball and run out of bounds. Like there's much safer plays if we're going to throw someone in for a little bit than putting him out on kick, which is kind of questionable to me. And then, just quick reminder that heat injuries are in fact mental errors. They are not injury. That is on you, and you should be fined.
Hell yeah, very military.
Unless you're in Arizona State, right? Like you should not be having it was like overcast at nighttime, like 90 degrees.
No, this was during a practice. Yeah. Let's talk about Jaden Ott and his shoulder injury, because what we saw out on the field, he was wearing a shoulder restraint, like the kind of like it almost looks a little band going across his arm. Essentially, that gets screwed into your pads and to kind of help reduce the mobility of where your arm can move to help prevent what I guess is this is a guy who probably had a shoulder dislocation in the past, and they do not want his arm being too mobile to provide some instability to that shoulder joint. I'm assuming a lot, but that's what I presume. And just because your shoulder dislocates doesn't mean you're shut down for the season, but sometimes that means that there's a little bit of an injury in the labrum around your shoulder. And we saw a couple guys last year who got shoulder surgeries right after. I think Logan Howland was one, and there's one other guy on the team that sat out the majority of spring because they got immediate shoulder surgery, because you can play through it through rehab and then restraints and stuff like that, but then it's probably a good idea to get it surgery afterwards. So I'm just assuming a lot, but I'm guessing that's what happened. And here's a scenario, Bobby, that I don't think anyone wants to talk about with Jaden Ott, and I don't think I've really heard that much. But how about this? Maybe with this injury and who he is there any scenario that he's actually just the third best running back on this team now? No one wants to say it. No one wants to say it, and that's the reason he's playing in the fourth quarter. I think it might just be that the way he is right now, he's the third best running back on this team. And I'm sorry, we paid a bunch of money for him, but I think that Torrey Blaylock outplayed him. And I think Javonte Barnes has outplayed him as an all-around back. And I'm sorry, Jaden Ott, but maybe there's just not in a lot of game for him to play.
I mean, that is a distinct possibility. And I think you would be, I think anyone would be a little foolish to just kind of hand wave it at this point. It's weird. I get the Blaylock thing. I think anyone who watched that game can really see why people are really high on Blaylock. Barnes had some moments that were a little bit annoying. I think the run game in general was, if you want to talk about bad vibes, the run game was
bad vibes.
Very bad vibes. Immediately just kicking myself for having them as high as we did in the tier maker.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a mistake. I was assuming that, I don't know, the star running back we got in the transfer portal, would get more than 3 snaps and -3 yards.
There were worse preseason predictions made on this pod. We will have Blake on here to answer for Alabama national championships.
And also in terms of Oklahoma, like I need to raise my hand a lot of things too of like what we predicted. But I think you're right. Like Blaylock, in terms of vibes, we can be excited about that because that's a dude that's fast and he's physical and wants to hit somebody. He's a freshman. I hate that we're doing the same thing again. We did this last year with Taylor Tatum. like, oh, I'm so excited, but a freshman's going to be a freshman. And you're going to see it sometime this season on Blaylock. So you got to lean on your guys that are veterans. And Javonte Barnes, we've seen this is a guy who tries really hard. He's a great pass blocker. He does all things that you need in a running back. But at the same time, like, is this a guy that I think is going to break off a 60, 70-yard run and, like, open a game for us? No, I think this is a guy who can chip away 4 or 5 yards. But in that scenario, he could also get you 0, 1, 2 yards, and all of a sudden you're in 3rd and long. And that's what we saw in the first play. The first drive is first down, we throw it to Deion Burks for a short gain, and then 0 yards to Javonte Barnes. Then, oh, no, we're in 3rd and long, and we don't convert, and we punt.
Yeah. And go ahead, Ty. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say real quick, it also does need to be said, and this is not at all to diminish Blaylock's performance, but he has a lot to prove. And I think Ott is still in that situation where he doesn't necessarily, or might feel like he doesn't necessarily just yet, particularly if he's, getting advice from the doctors or the trainers, or he's not feeling like he's 100%, right? Like it's a business. The dude transferred here for money. He is a mercenary. Like you don't get, mercenaries don't fight to the death historically, right? They fight like to survive and make their money. So and that's, again, not to diminish it. That's just the nature of college football. So I don't know. Like Blaylock definitely looks very promising, but like you said, we did the same thing with Taylor Tatum. And obviously we heard a lot about Taylor Tatum preseason last year about how, the effort and everything else that he was putting in. So we're certainly not going to give Blaylock that treatment, but he showed out, but he did have a lot to prove versus, I don't think Barnes was Barnes went 7 carries for 9 yards.
Yeah. Aren't you tired of hearing all the hype from freshmen in the offseason and not the upperclassmen, Ty?
I'm just tired at this point.
Yeah, I get that. And I think there is a distinct possibility that, this Ott thing is more than just like Blaylock and Barnes had a good camp and they were healthy. And, like there's a chance that they actually are like a little bit, not DeMarco Murray and, Arbuckle aren't comfortable with putting him out there.
DeMarco's a weird guy with rotations too. We know that, Bobby.
He so is, and I felt like the rotations were weird in this game. Like Xavier Robinson essentially only not playing any snaps in the first half. It felt like, and then played what I felt like was essentially, like the lion's share of the second. So I don't know. It is hard to
go out with an injuries, which I think that might be a big contributing factor. But Xavier Robinson looked a little bit weird too. Did he? I don't know if this is just me, but did he look smaller? I'd have to pull up like the depth charts. Did he look not as big, or is that just me in my head?
Did he change his? Am I crazy, or did he change his number?
I mean, these are things I probably should know. But something just felt off, and maybe it's just like I don't know what it was. It just looked like he had slimmed up and gotten a little bit more muscular, like kind of like the beefy X.
Yeah, he did not. Did he change his number? He said
I can pull up the whole depth chart.
That was
weights
something
and everything, but I don't know.
He was 21 last year, 24 this year. I don't know if that made any difference at all, but I kind of felt it too, which is
that
weird.
was his number, to clarify. I don't.
Yeah, no.
I could definitely go and look back at so Jimmy in the chat says he's 239 now. Let's see what his weight was last year.
Yeah, so
I can go on mute for a little bit and check.
While Jameson's pulling this up, if you go back to our tier maker, obviously maybe his age not great, but one of the talking points that we did have on the running back room before we went wild with where we were going to put them was the variety of guys that we had, specifically Xavier Robinson being, listed at basically 240, which, who knows, plus or minus 5 pounds any sort of month, but he was the biggest by far. And we were kind of counting on that size, maybe trying to do like when you got to hammer it in, or when you got to do a sort of like a tush push type situation. Obviously he's not the quarterback, but if he has sort of slimmed down, which some of that also, I don't know how accurate Jackson Arnold's weight was last year. Mateer is definitely, I don't know about now, maybe Arnold's put on weight, but Mateer has 20, 30 pounds on Arnold. So it might just be a visual thing when you look at him in the backfield of the much older, sort of much beefier quarterback, sort of making him seem a little smaller. But He definitely doesn't seem like he gained 20 pounds, James.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I'm looking. This is like summer of 2024. He was 222. So he probably gained some weight into summer, into fall last year. But this is just a moot. I'm just in my head about a number change. So, and he didn't run the ball as good. So that's probably another thing. If you had trucked a guy, I'd be like, man, this guy looks big. That's a Xavier Robinson I love. That's probably what it was. I'm probably just in my head on it. And I'm such a big Xavier Robinson guy. Maybe I'm just a little bit disappointed too, that I feel like against FCS opponents, I feel like that's a guy that could absolutely destroy another team, where it's like they're just bouncing off tackles. But I mean, also there's another reason here that this guy's listed as RB4 on our depth chart. And this is a guy that we ended the season was our savior, but he's still RB4. Like, this is a guy that wasn't supposed to do what he did last year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I don't know. It is certainly a little weird, but I feel like it's hard to judge the team based on, well, any one game in particular, especially an opener, but especially this opener. It just felt very, very odd. I think we're going to get a lot more answers next week.
That's what someone who's a Sooners fan will say out loud. It's hard to judge this team just based on this game in particular. You know, this is a podcast, Bobby. Guess what we're doing right now? We are judging this team based off one game, and that is what our job is to do.
To be fair, you're literally analyzing a man because you're like,
I'm talking vibes, right? I'm telling you right now, like we said earlier, like, you know, screw the box score, screw the numbers. I'm just saying, like, what felt right and what felt wrong. And maybe I'm going to be completely off on the vibes. Like, a number just completely shifted things for me. But I think Mateer in the backfield's confidence, that is a big deal. And then the running back room, Blaylock being fun, that's nice. But at the same time, like, Javonte Barnes and Xavier Robinson not doing much, and then no Jay not. I think that is something we need to take into account. And then the offensive line not giving enough holes for the run game to begin with. Like, their pass blocking was okay. But I think that these are all things that, like, we cannot forget whenever we approach, like, let's say pregame Auburn. You know, I think that these are things that we need to remember and see where we are at that point.
Yeah. I'm not saying to take nothing from it. It's just just weird.
I want really, really confident and bold takes. Ty, you got something for me? What's the boldest thing you can take from this game?
Look at beyond the obvious. Beyond the obvious. I think boldest thing, without like jinxing anything or being too positive, because like frankly, my boldest take going forward is that Mateer might be top 3 quarterbacks in the SEC if the O-line can figure something out, because of his poise and the vibes, but also because of how, you know, other people are turning out to maybe not be that great, but also, and this is my real segue, because of the level of effort and buy-in and drive and good vibes that I saw from this wide receiver room.
Yeah.
I think this was not like statistically, and this is pure vibes here. Statistically, it was not that amazing. I think on vibes and on effort and on this guy came to play, he is putting in work. I think this is Deion Burke's best game in an OU jersey. It was not like, the stats do not back that up.
He had 3 touchdowns in the Temple game last year.
Yeah, but it didn't feel the same as like the energy that he had. And again, yeah, the stats don't back it up, but like he had an electric carry. He had, you know,
the one-handed catch was amazing that he had on the sideline.
But every time you saw him, this is the same. And I'm not trying to recycle old talking points, but I used to say this about, and I'm not saying, oh, we discovered CeeDee Lamb, but I used to say this about CeeDee Lamb when he was not the star receiver on the team. Is like, if you watch him on the plays where he's not getting the ball, he knows he's not getting the ball, or he's just blocking or whatever else, the level of effort that he was putting in and just 100% every single play, I saw that from Deion Burks in this game, and I have not seen that from him in previous games in an OU jersey. And I think it's because the vibes in this room are just up right now. Like Kanik, obviously, you know, question marks as to how successful that is going to be against other people now that it's on film, especially because he, you know, has some fumbles and everything else. But, you know, with Lewis, even, like, I just feel like the vibes are right in that room and people are there to play and people are, sample size of one, but I think this receiver room is really, really neat. I'm not saying they're going to be something special maybe this year, but I think they have the potential to be something special this year, particularly with Mateer in the backfield if the O-line can figure it out, because these guys came to play and that was the only offensive group where quarterback obviously won, but like this whole room was like the vibes are up. Like these guys are grinding. They're trying to put in work.
I think that the Deion Burks thing is a big deal because I think at the end of the season, he turned off. This is a guy, he's a high energy guy. He's an extrovert. We saw the videos preseason last season. We're like, oh my God, he's so fun. He's hanging out with other athletic programs and, you know, at OU and like, oh, look at him. He's having a lot of fun. And then he had that crime thing. What was it? Some driving thing. I don't remember. Was it DUI? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
He got, it was like a PI or something. And then the
I
season.
don't remember that.
No, it was a DUI.
It was a DUI. But
he was
and
going
then, like, near
90
the end of
in
the
a
season,
60.
he got hurt, and then all of a sudden he wasn't coming back, and maybe he could have played, maybe he couldn't. This was the type of guy that when things are going good, it's going really good. When they went bad, they didn't go as well with him. And I think in this game, they went well, and he was the guy who went first to congratulate John Mateer on his rushing touchdown. And I think that's a big deal moving forward, and that's what a WR1 should do. Yeah.
I mean, he's stepping up as a leader on this team for sure. And, you know, I think just in general, he was excellent. And that room as a whole, I was very impressed with this game, but this is without Jaden Gibson, without Giovanni Gibson. There's still some weapons to really break out there. Hell, Jacob Jordan had a really good catch. Shout out to him.
Dude, that guy had like 4 snaps and comes in and makes his time. I think, let's see how many snaps he actually had. He had 3. He had 3 snaps, excuse me. like hand up, honestly, for this whole podcast, hand up. Keontez Lewis didn't get enough respect from us. We obviously recorded our last episode before the depth chart, but hand up. I thought that this is the type of guy that could get 2 or 3 catches and be a solid guy as a senior, as a transfer. I didn't think he was going to be a type of guy who can go out there and be like, essentially look like John Mateer's favorite target.
Yeah, Keontez Lewis was unbelievable. He was great. I mean, and again, I mean, he was a guy, I think when we were doing our depth chart, like it was like we kind of put him in at the very end, you know,
because he wasn't that fun to talk about, because like it's a senior transfer. I didn't think like it's more fun to talk about like the freshmen and the young guys and Satania, but you're right, Bobby.
Yeah. But you know, it's pretty exciting. And not only that, you know, the whole Southern Illinois transfer, you know, obviously he had some time at, you know, Wisconsin's bounced around, but you know, it like of the, you know, the destinations kind of matter a little bit sometimes with the Flash. And I feel like maybe that was just like, okay, a little Saluki transfer. I don't know about that, but he was awesome. Ty, I see you have brought up Isaiah Satania, a guy who I really like. Didn't see much of him in that game. I feel like there was one long ball that that Mateer missed him on, but overall, I'm positive on him. You know, I think we'll see him get his moments, but I don't know. He definitely didn't have a shocking, massive game like maybe some of us might have thought.
Yeah, I actually didn't mean to send that to our chat just yet, but I was saying that as a quick aside. My only real talking point about Satania, I have 2 talking points about Satania. One is, again, the depth of the room. I think we've kind of touched on it here, and it's not really something that matters, but I still think the race for who is WR1, quote unquote, or like who is Mateer's favorite guy, or the guy he's going to look to when you need that Drake Stoops, or when you need that CeeDee Lamb, or when you need that Sterling Shepard, like that one guy that's going to, you know, win that game, like an Odell Beckham type in the NFL when he was good, and that kind of thing. Like there's always going to be sort of that guy that you know is your guy that you can count on. Is Satania in the running? I don't necessarily think so at this point, but I think the depth of this room, like we're talking about, is just so tremendous. He's certainly not a front runner right now, but he could get it. The real reason I sent him to our chat is just so you guys can look as well. A funny side note: Isaiah Satania is currently listed on ESPN as number -1 on OU's roster. I don't know how. I don't even know how that's possible in their field on their website, but it's on. He is.
Well, that's ESPN for you. I mean,
apparently numbered -1 on the team, but.
And I will say with
I
depth,
think the depth,
Go ahead,
the
Ty.
depth of the room, is tremendous. Like we talked, already guys not playing in this one, and still we're talking about multiple people who could be WR1, and then again, not necessarily a wide receiver, but Kanik, we touched on it, was has this been the best performance by an OU tight end in a couple years at
Since
least?
Braden Willis.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
It's definitely the most receiving yards by a tight end since Braden Willis. I
And
saw
he
that
got a
stat on
lot of
somebody.
looks. Yeah, you could tell that there was some chemistry with him and Mateer. I don't know if they're boys. I don't know if they're working after practice, but you could tell that Kanik was even sort of in the running on some of those plays for Mateer, maybe spending a little bit more time or giving him a couple more looks. Maybe
This
it was
dude
designed,
did not
maybe
do
it
a
wasn't.
lick of blocking though, so that's like something to like take a note of for the rest of the season. Like, how much can we use this guy out there if we're not going to truly use him as a blocker, as a tight end? But there's also a reason that we didn't put an or after his name on the depth chart. That whenever Monday came around and the depth chart was released, there was no or after Jaren Kanik. It was just Jaren Kanik 1.
Yeah. And, maybe use him sort of as like a weird tight end H-back fusion sort of thing. I don't know, but you're right. Like the blocking wasn't quite there, but as a receiver, he was really good. I thought the speed was there. Obviously ball handling, gotta hold on to the ball. Don't turn the ball over.
Though.
That happens to anyone.
He's catching some tough balls.
Yeah. No, I was impressed with Kanik. I was a skeptic about it. I thought it was a fun. I thought it was a fun little story, but I didn't think he was gonna, actually be tight end 1. But
he had the longest reception.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we'll see how it pans out in SEC play or against Michigan, but I don't know. I liked what I saw.
Yeah, I think that like when it comes down to it, though, I'm kind of disappointed, and I understand trying to get the first group, a bunch of reps. This is a new offensive system. This is a new quarterback, and you're trying to get as many reps versus different opponents as you can before Michigan next week. But at the same time, like I'm kind of disappointed we didn't see guys like Elijah Thomas out there, a guy that we saw or heard of. I didn't see it at all. Heard from other people who saw it that looked like he was doing well in camp, and he only gets special team snaps. Like that's a little bit disappointing. I understand that, maybe we might have time for Kent State and Temple to do those kind of things. And right now, screw this being your traditional first game of the year. This is a prepare for Michigan game. This is not a prepare for the season game. And we'll use Temple and, game 3 and game 4 for that. But I'm still like, there's a part of me, like I get so excited game 1 to go watch the young guys. Like everyone's like, aren't you excited to see like the new team? No, I want to see like the 3rd and 4th quarter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would have loved to see a couple of those guys, kind of pop up. We'll see how it goes, but I think too with receivers, like sometimes guys emerge, late in the season. Hollywood Brown was 3rd on the depth chart, when he started his year in 2017, and didn't really break out until that Bedlam game.
Yeah.
So not to say like, oh, we'll have a Hollywood Brown pop up somewhere, but I feel like of every position group, every position group, the wide receivers are where you have randos pop up more than anywhere.
And I'm hoping that's Giovanni Gibson, honestly.
Yep.
I will say having a dude pop up a late season after being a slow burn is much better than doing the Charleston Rambo, where you put up like multiple touchdowns a game for the entire first half of the season. And then I ran into him on campus and asked him how many points he was going to score on Texas and Red River. And he said, I don't know, probably 3. And then did nothing at OU after that moment that he told me he was going to put up 3 tutties a game. He just stopped performing at OU.
Charleston Rambo had a tough time on this podcast.
I talked to him in person. I didn't dislike him, but it was like, bro, what happened?
You told me 3 touchdowns, Charleston.
Yeah. It was like a football Mike Posner. Like you had some hits and then where'd you
football
go?
Mike Posner.
And then just moved to Miami. It's a perfect analogy. Anyway.
Honestly, that was genius.
That's super niche though. You have to be like right around our age to
get that. Yeah. So I guess, going on that comparison, Charleston Rambo's touchdown in the Orange Bowl. That's it. That's his version of Pillow to Biza.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. That was a moment that had people believing right there.
Which is arguably worse because it's like, oh, okay, you're showing us that you can do it still,
and then you disappeared again.
You're not. Yeah.
It's a perfect comparison. I love it.
Can we talk about the defense, Bobby? Because we've been.
I was just about to say
this whole time because it's a shame because I mean they put up Illinois State put up 3, but still there's some things out there that we can get excited about. I think number one we have to talk about is Cortland Guillory.
Oh yeah. I was pretty pumped about Guillory. What'd you think?
Yeah, what'd you I think his first pass interference of the game made me a little bit nervous. This guy's a freshman. He's going to go out there and he's going to do some things that are really good and he's going to do some things that are bad. At the same time, he looks the part. He looks like the guy. And I think that what I was really excited to see is Brent Venables' defensive system can sometimes get complicated. And you saw a lot of the times whenever we were shifting, when we were changing coverage, when we were changing assignments, Cortland Guillory was always talking. He was doing the hand movements. He was adapting on the fly. He wasn't just sitting there stone cold and not moving. And that tells me that's a guy who gets it, number one. And at the same time, we can see with our eyeballs as he plays, whenever he was guarding their number one wide receiver, probably the best player on the field for them, he was going out there and making good stops. And that's extremely impressive to see 2 years in a row now, almost CB1 being freshman. Yeah.
I think that, that goes to the quality of recruiting we've had and, early development. I was very happy about that. That was a guy I was really high on entering the game. And I think overall defensively, even though you didn't see really any, no turnovers, nothing, not a lot of flashy
didn't
sacks.
Even give us that opportunity to get turnovers is the thing.
Exactly. It was, yeah, I thought the defense did the best thing they could do, which is basically completely shut down them at all. So
yeah, I want to contextualize Guillory real quick again, because true freshman, this wasn't he was out there and did okay. True freshman stepped into this game in probably the second hardest position in college football and looked very solid. And to contextualize this further, yes, this is Illinois State, but this guy months ago was playing in high school at the cornerback position. And this Illinois State team, say what you want about the big Texas schools, yes, Guillory's from Houston. This Illinois State team would dog walk any high school team in the nation. That's just the level of skill gap, especially with a very solid team like this Illinois State team. This is not he's stepping in and just kind of it still takes a tremendous amount of skill, and this is still very, very impressive from him performance-wise, especially when he can cover their best guys, because we can move them around when we start to play, better receiver combos out there. That was really, 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 really impressive to see. So not gonna say he's gonna do this or that this season, but just as a true freshman starting in a position like that, it's more impressive than when you see a true freshman receiver get a touchdown or something like that.
100%.
Yeah. I thought the defensive line looked solid. Taylor Wine got a sack. That was great.
Yeah, it was a smart sack too. I think the announcers did a good job. He kept in line, went to the quarterback, broke off at the right time, got the sack. That's kind of what we heard. And I think I said something, Bobby, last week. I was like, if Taylor Wine doesn't get a sack, I'm going to be really mad at all of the people for piping him up.
Well, hey, it was 1 of 2 sacks, so there you go. There weren't many of them, but he got one of them, which is good. Another guy I want to talk about. Loved Reggie Powers in this game.
Dude's a baller, man. That's probably, honestly, first of all, the safety room's crowded, and it's ridiculous that RSJ didn't even start and Boganowski started over him. That shows you how much we believe in guys like Boganowski. But Reggie Powers, man, that is a guy that the opposing coach said a lot of good things about, and you see him out on the field. And I think, what was it, Brent Venables said in post-conference that he's that's a type of guy that I told my staff that needs to get on the field one way or another. And he's probably turning into one of my favorite guys on the defensive end.
Yeah, he was fun. It just, I love that. This defense is super fun. And I feel like sometimes with podcasting, the squeaky wheel gets the grease in a way, and you kind of talk about, the things you can fix and analyze, but not enough can be said about how how awesome this defense is, because it's gotten to a point where it's you just kind of look at them like them boys are good. That's all you can really say on some of it. But
yeah, do you think
Powers is
this
great.
run defense though is something to be concerned about? Just because Wankers was like having easy gaps on us, it's like he wasn't making a cut and breaking downfield. It was just a cut down the middle and was already 4 or 5 yards untouched. Like
the run,
an all scheme thing that we're just being babies, and like Deep Venables believes so much in his scheme that he just wants to throw the kitchen sink at Michigan next week. Or do you think this is something that we could see in the future? Because it doesn't make any sense, because Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis are hell of a linebackers, and then our interior with Jaden Jackson, and then whenever you put in Grayson Halton next to oh my god, help, Dominic Williams, like these are guys that I feel very, very confident in, and they didn't show to be that dominant in this game. Like, do you think this is an all scheme thing and it'll fix out next week, or is this something to be concerned about?
I don't know. I think the run fits were dodgy at times. I feel like that's something that does need to be improved on, and you can definitely tighten up a bit. But I don't know. I think there's definitely, if you had to point out anything about the defense, it was those moments where you got gashed a bunch.
Galaxy brain thinking right here, Bobby. Brent Venables purposely makes bad run fits to where Michigan says, ooh, I want to run the ball. And Brent Venables says, psych, actually the front seven's our best position. And I want you to run the ball. Our quarterback room is something that we're shifting up a lot, and I don't want you to pass.
Hit him with the Matador strategy, show him one thing, hit him with a little rope-a-dope. Jimmy in the comments did mention that Brent Venables kind of mentioned that the D-line did play soft.
It's all a game.
I can see it. I can see it. This game was so weird that maybe there was some galaxy brain behavior going on here. But
I will say also for defensive linemen, I feel like it's a lot easier to play hard and tough nose whenever you're going against bigger and better opponents.
It's true.
You kind of take the easy way out. You try to scheme it. You try to out athleticize the opposing team, and that's usually not the smart thing to do.
Good point.
Yeah, I think it was
ahead,
a scheme. Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was scheme stuff, and I think it's like this is not trying to be an anti Brent Venables take. I think it's more of just a realistic take. It's like, but you can't be perfect. Like I think that. Again, not trying to cope, but I think that Illinois State probably presented some stuff that wasn't on film. And I think they tried some stuff that I'm not trying to do the whole, they used their whole playbook. We kept ours vanilla, but I think they did a very good job of doing things that we weren't expecting. And I think fundamentally it was a scheme thing, and maybe it was a looking forward kind of thing, or maybe it was whether it's complacency or whether it's deliberate because we only really care about Michigan, maybe we're just not going to pay that much attention to this one and scheme for it and know that we're going to give up some of these big gashes. And right, they ran for 117. It's not like it's the end of the world, but I don't know. I think it was a scheme thing. I don't know. My galaxy brain, and I was thinking about this before Jameson said it, is that we were intentionally scheming poorly with the D-line and the linebackers so that the secondary could get some stops against the run to try to develop them. I was thinking we were trying to develop. I didn't think we were going to pull a battle of cowpens strategy, which is the battle that they sort of replicate in the movie The Patriot, where he sends the militia up. He sends the militia up to fight the British a little bit, but then they retreat and the British think it's a rout and run over the hill. And then there's the big regular army there. I don't think we're trying to pull a feint on a reverse slope defense against Michigan, but you never know. It would be hard.
Patriot reference on
Patriot
reference on our podcast.
It wasn't a Patriot reference. It was the actual battle.
That's fair.
I just knew that people would maybe remember the scene from the one where he runs with the flag. So are we going to have Brent Venables with an American flag? Running we defeat Michigan.
Y'all get that no other place other than the Schooner Pod.
There you go. Our unique house style. Do we have any thoughts on special teams? We didn't really get to see much out of the kicker outside of extra points.
I think vibe wise.
Oh, Isaac Satania.
Yeah, Satania's that's a good return right there. I like it. I like that. I thought Satania was fun there.
I thought Ulrich was pretty decent. I know it was sort of right. He punted twice, and maybe it was like a vibe thing just because it was early in the game. But he, pinned him back there a couple times. Like did a pretty good job. Like people cheered. Probably because it was the start of the game. On the TV, people were cheering. So
yeah, people were cheering.
It's a difference. It's a
confirm.
difference.
Yeah,
they liked our punter and kicker. Good. I mean, I feel decently confident. I don't feel like Michael Turk confident in our punter, but I feel pretty confident.
He's pretty solid.
Yeah, good. That's all we need, other than the backwash that we had of kicker and punter in the past couple of years. So
I don't know, just absolutely disgusting Tressway erasure to use Michael Turk as the standard for an OU punter. No disrespect.
I know. I'm thinking more recent. I mean, I obviously understand that Tressway is the GOAT of Oklahoma punters.
Oh yeah, for sure. So any other notes on this game? For the first time, OU has little captain patches. That's new. What do we think about that?
So close to the Jordan logo. It looks a little crowded there.
It's too big. It's too big and it's too close. It takes up too much space on it. I'm not a fan personally.
It's very NFL-esque. I get it. They're trying to turn college football into more of a business than an academic institution, but it felt like they just kind of crowded it in there, Bobby.
Yeah, I just think that you need the tiny X, or if it was tinier, I'm cool with it. Just a little too big, in my opinion. I don't know. Any other final bits on this game, or we just ready to kind of move on?
Yeah, I think we need to talk about Michigan because it's a huge week.
Yeah, massive game. Second time the Wolverines and Sooners have ever played. First time on campus. And, we've talked all off season, like this is the defining game, like not the defining game, but if you don't win this one, things go downhill very, 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 very quickly.
Yeah, that's a quick way to say it. Like if we pull up a stinker, it's right back to where we are. And that's the thing. Oklahoma fans are hot and cold. 1000%. You want to say, hey, Oklahoma is going to be undefeated going into Texas weekend, and that's what everyone's going to be talking about. If we win this game, cool. But if we lose, it's a get ready for another 6-6 season if we're lucky.
I think, again, not to be overly negative, but I think things are already going downhill. Like we're sliding down the ice mountain, and this game is one of our chances to swing the ice pick and stop ourselves so that we can start to climb back up. Like I don't think this is it's not an Alabama moment against Florida State where things were like a little shaky and then now they're in free fall. Like we're already kind of down and out, and this is a chance to climb with someone that recently won the national championship. Again, a couple years ago, different team and everything else, but the prestige is there. It's a battle of two blue blood teams that somehow have only ever played once, which is absolutely insane. If you think about the history of both of these programs. Super consequential. Obviously, we will face them again in the future, but for where this program is at right now, I don't want to disrespect Michigan. I don't want to jinx anything, but this is one of our more winnable big brands on our schedule right now, depending on who Alabama has coaching them when we face them. In Alabama, which I have been saying that since the preseason, and now who knows, but like LSU is looking pretty legit. LSU is looking pretty scary. Like a lot of the other bigger name teams on our schedule are going to be much tougher games. I think OU can win them. The tools are absolutely there, but this one is the easiest of those. And I'm not trying to disrespect Michigan or jinx it or whatever else, but we get it at home. And it could be a tremendous moment for the program where we need, especially in this era of college football with the portal and with the way the media is and everything else, we need to get this game day where they're going to come to campus, showcase our gorgeous campus and everything else. We need this win. This is a important moment for the program. Absolutely. I don't think this is like the defining moment. This isn't a make it or break it.
It's momentum. It's momentum. It's huge.
it can be the
absolutely.
thing that sparks a good season
For the players, for the fan base. Yeah.
And not only that, I am so sick of having these massive showcase games come to Norman where, these non-conference ones or these, like the Tennessee game last year where it's like, all right, all eyes are on Oklahoma, all eyes are on Norman. What's going to happen? And then you lay an egg. I feel like that happened against Tennessee, against Ohio State in 2016, Notre Dame 2012. I just feel like we've had these big moments at home where you feel like it's going to happen. Like you like, I don't know. I hate when that happens. And obviously these are way years in the past, different coaching staffs, all that sort of stuff. But it would just be nice as an OU fan to have that big showcase game and actually win it at home.
Yeah, legally it did not happen against Notre Dame. That has been vacated for cheating.
Could they also vacate the Harden trade that happened that game? Or anyways,
no, because we would never have the championship that we have right now, Bobby.
Good point, Jameson. Good point.
So I agree. But here as a fan, I see our past that we haven't shown up for big games at home under the lights. Screw it, I don't care. I'm ready to be broken again. Like, this is what we want. We got game day out there with new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, and a good defense. This is what we need as a fan base and as an institution right now, because the vibes of Oklahoma from the outside, we've been getting negative recruited so hard. And what we did last season, understandably, we deserve all of that. But you know what? The American population is so easy to manipulate with one little thing. And if we go out there and we pop Michigan in the face, vibes change immediately. Recruiting can change immediately. We can change that. And even though Michigan might not be that team, the brand that they have is, if we shut down a quarterback that was the number 1 overall recruit and is a true freshman, and we make them look uncomfortable and John Mateer cooks, this is a team that all of the people that we're talking about them hyping up in the preseason, those people get louder, and then the other people follow them in groupthink.
Yeah. Like Bishop in the comments is saying, the receipts, if they're coming due, you want a moment like that where you can be like, look, Oklahoma, we're fine. With things, we're righting the ship. We're moving in the right direction. Yeah.
I think that this Michigan team, though, they look like a team that we could do that too, Bobby. I don't know if you got to watch. Actually, you didn't, because you were at the game. I guess one of the few things that Ty and I can say. Did you watch any of the New Mexico-Michigan game, Ty?
Absolutely not.
Oh yeah, it's because you didn't have 3 TVs. So me sitting in my basement, I have 3 TVs. I'm sorry. But on one of my little ones on the side,
the Michigan fans, the Tennessee fans see 3 TVs as an absurd luxury. The Michigan fans are like, only 3?
Yeah. I put them on the side, and they played New Mexico, a team that absolutely got destroyed by the portal. And honestly, I wasn't that excited with the Michigan defense, to tell you the truth. Like, they were getting picked apart a little bit, to the point where do I think Oklahoma could do that a lot better? Yeah. The one thing, though, I do want to say that I am very nervous about this Michigan team, and I don't want to sound cocky because I'm not cocky, is their run game is really good. We always knew that's going to be a thing with Michigan, but Justice Haynes from Alabama, the transfer coming into Michigan, that dude was running all over New Mexico. And I think you talk about vibes and looking at a guy, it's like, that guy's good, that guy's not that good. You can tell by the way he runs the ball, this is a guy that's going to be good for the rest of the season. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say real quick, what would you feel, as objectively as possible, what would you feel as a Michigan fan watching this OU game?
I'd say that this is a team that we can run the ball against, and we can control the narrative and then get them an uncomfortable situation. And then I'd probably just anchor on what they had last season.
Yeah, because I think Michigan fans are probably looking a little bit at, did this OU team, even though they were winning, kind of stat pad at the end, but
we didn't cover
on keeping the starters in. I know we didn't, but again, scoring with 4 minutes left, where we were clearly gunning to be out there scoring, is definitely, I don't want to say questionable. I think that's the right way to play the game. But if I were a Michigan fan, I would probably look at what is the true score here? Like maybe I'm not too worried, although I think they should. Like best possible thing would be John Mateer has the world's greatest sense of humor and becomes the reincarnation of Baker Mayfield and sits down in a presser tomorrow and says, Jim Harbaugh isn't here to save you, to Michigan. And then just cooks them.
I think that where Michigan fans were in the preseason in this game is, and honestly Oklahoma fans too, everyone was saying this is a true freshman quarterback coming in to his big first game of his career as a college quarterback and a really good Oklahoma defense. Bryce Underwood did decent, but it's not like he destroyed New Mexico. He did what he was supposed to do. He didn't go above and beyond. In this game, I think a lot of Michigan fans are saying, I'm scared about that front seven of Oklahoma. I think that they can get the pass rush on with R. Mason Thomas, Marvin Jones, those guys, and make him feel uncomfortable. And then they might look at the box score and they might look at this game and be like 2 sacks, a team that was giving up 5-6 yards per carry to wankers, and say like, maybe this is something that we could chip away at and we could play our physical brand of football and not make our true freshman quarterback look too uncomfortable, because maybe that this Oklahoma defensive front seven isn't what it put out to be. But I don't think that's the case. I think that's a whole farce. And I think you're about to see some funky Brent Venables stuff, because he always has it in his defenses, that is going to make a freshman quarterback look really confused. And he's going to make some mistakes in this game.
Without a doubt. And, if you look at how the defense played, in week 1, Brent showed nothing. That was a very straight up, not, no stunts, nothing crazy. He showed nothing. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out, but it's really one of the worst defenses you could possibly go against as a true freshman. I would not want to, I wouldn't want to deal with that for sure.
Bobby, Jimmy talks about the crowd.
Yeah. Crowd.
What was the vibes of the crowd in this game, and how optimistic are you thinking about people getting up for this game?
I think people will get up for it. The crowd in game 1, I mean, it was Illinois State. So people, no one was really losing their mind. I'd describe it as like a baseball game almost, where people were just kind of hanging out, having a good time, not super loud, but I think OU supporters, OU fans understand the, assignment with a game like this. I think it's going to be a crazy, awesome environment. I'm not concerned about crowd noise.
We had a similar conversation before the Tennessee game last year. And I think whenever things were going a little okay, we can say it in the beginning of the Tennessee game, whenever we were getting turnovers and not capitalizing on them. But like whenever we got, what was it, a fumble on Nico last year?
Yeah,
or it was,
Robert Spears Jennings.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was loud. That was piercing.
Yeah.
And so
the fans did their part for Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the best environments at the start I've ever been in. And I thought also with Alabama, they were also terrific, even though the team wasn't very good. And, the only thing you're really playing for is a bowl bid. I mean, the crowd can get up for these big games. And, if the team, especially early on, rewards you and, stokes the flame and gets the place rocking, then yeah, like absolutely. I think it's very situational. They're not just loud for anyone, but for Michigan, yeah, this is one of the biggest games in Norman in a long time. Maybe not a long time, a couple given the new schedule, like a year, but like biggest non-cons in a long time. And Michigan's gonna they travel like crazy, massive alumni base, that will go anywhere. So it's going to be a cool environment. They're OU and Michigan fans obviously just don't really interact much. There's no crossover at all. But it should be a fun, intense environment. I'm excited about. I'm not worried about the environment at all. Yeah,
it's going to be tremendous weather as well for a football game.
Oh my gosh.
4:30 kickoff, and it looks like.
Just quit with your Pacific Standard Time.
No, 4:30. Oh, yeah. I forgot that it defaulted. But yeah, evening kickoff, it's going to be in the 70s at 40% humidity, which is not terrible. I will say humidity helps with sound. Little known fact, but the more humid the air is, the farther and stronger sound waves travel. So
Ty, the science guy,
make the crowd seem a little better. That's why when you watch just humidity in air helps everything sort of transmit around. That's why when you watch like old clips from like Vietnam and you see like the big white like cloud shockwave around bombs, and you don't really see that in like other wars, it's because of the humidity.
Huh. That's interesting. I will say the weather for yesterday's
Oh, here
game,
he goes.
Oh, so good. It was awesome.
Bobby, the weather
fact
guy.
That we got that. Well, no, I was just saying it was very nice. It was a great day for tailgating.
Yeah.
Did it not get a little rainy at one point?
Yeah, we got rained on in game, which was like fine. I was okay with it.
If you're a fan,
not too bad.
Thinking about it, yeah.
But
it's also not going to get cold either. If you look at the weather, like I'm saying, if you're a fan thinking about it, this is a no-brainer to hit this one. Like this is, regardless of team, regardless of experience, like this is, you're getting kind of that September game or like late September, like October game weather-ish without the cold drop off at the ends. And you got game day and you got Michigan. Like this is, I'm upset about not being able to make it to this one.
First game day without Lee Corso is Oklahoma.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Is it the first? Is it the first? Because he was part-time. I think we had one 2 seasons ago that he didn't come to.
He wasn't at Tennessee, but it's the first time since he
retired,
fully retired, where you're like, we know for sure no Corso, that sort of deal. That's going to be a
game day. Speaking of game day, I am going to write a very strongly worded, harsh email to ESPN if they have a UCO student kicking again. It's absolutely absurd that they can't vet people for the kick, and then you're going to send some UCO dude out there to represent OU.
This is the same vibe as that guy who goes to college campuses and go, "You an OU fan? Yeah, diehard? Yeah. Did you go to OU? No."
Yeah.
That's funny.
You shouldn't be doing a student kick for tuition at the OU football game, representing the person as an OU student when they go to UCO. That is actual fraud, arguably.
That is a good point. They're not even in the OU school system. So.
And then if the kid puts up a stinker and is a weirdo, like that's double whammy. Like we looked terrible. Again, we're talking about the vibes. We looked goofy.
I will say vibes too. Get someone better than Blake Shelton. That was not a good move. Not an OU fan.
What are we gonna get?
Who?
Because I think all of our predictions last year, we came up with a couple of good ones, but then whenever it came down to it, Blake Shelton's the big name, but he doesn't really care about us. And again, can they really get anything better if they just got Blake Shelton last year?
I would rather have a generic celebrity that has no affiliation, like the iconic Katy Perry Ole Miss, right? Like if we could get like Taylor Swift, maybe a little out of our ESPN
you don't say
right now, but like if we could get Sabrina Carpenter,
what?
Ed Sheeran.
Oh God!
If we could get a
Shay, maybe Shay's not in town yet.
Oh,
I would imagine.
Man, I just thought of how fun that'd be. Getting a Thunder player. Oh, I think Chet would do it.
One of them.
Oh, Chet would do it. Chet would absolutely do it. Yeah, Chet would be. I think Chet would be interesting. I think J-Dub could be interesting.
Gotta do that. Oh man, that just got me so excited. I don't care about a random celebrity that went to Oklahoma, or has some kind of Oklahoma ties. Give me Chet. That actually would be so fun to watch him interact with him for a whole.
Chet on game day would be funny. That's my pick. They should try to get Chet Holmgren. That's who it should be. Funniest idea, like that would never actually happen.
Yeah,
I don't know. I want to see Mark Daignault sit next to Pat McAfee.
There's no way.
Just because it would be so hilariously awkward. No, of course not. But it'd be great.
I would also not complain, and some people might be lukewarm on this, but I would not complain with Jalen Hurts or Baker either coming on. Jalen Hurts, I think, would be really solid in terms of like average person buy into OU because he is so up right now.
Jalen could do it because they play Thursday night. So that's an option. So I was looking at the NFL schedule. So you have Thursday night games as a possibility for you, and that's the Cowboys and that's the Eagles. So you could have a CeeDee Lamb. You could have a Jalen Hurts. I think that that's a perfect opportunity for them to come in for a Saturday. And then like the Monday night game is Minnesota, Chicago. So I don't think Caleb Williams is going to come. But
Did I say Caleb Williams? Because I was thinking it.
Spencer Rattler.
No, I think that we're good on that one. But I think honestly, I think you might be onto something with either CD or Jalen.
What about Skip?
Oh God!
What's Skip and Ernestine been arguing about on their recent podcast?
Oh,
there was a headline the other day that was a little bit weird.
Oh Lord, I can only imagine. Now, in retrospect, it kind of is insane that they never got Skip to do it for OU.
There's probably some contract
back when he was with ESPN. You know, like
I think there was
good on
probably some behind the scenes like personality clashes, but
probably, but
yeah, I think honestly, would you rather have Jalen Hurts or CeeDee Lamb?
I would rather have Jalen Hurts. I like CeeDee more. Jalen Hurts has more like average person, like that's not an OU fan or not a Michigan fan appeal.
But he's so low key though.
He is really low.
Yeah, but
key. I don't see him being.
Yeah, you don't.
But you also have the Alabama aspect too, like Alabama people.
Game
like
day is different now, though. Game day is different with Pat Mack on there and the vibes and stuff. Like I think the ideal person is. It gets weird when you have too many people trying to be like the wild one.
Well, and it would be a little too Alabama-y because it would be Hurts with Saban again. So that would be kind of the thing is it's like, oh, it's Jalen Hurts and Nick Saban. That's cool.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want that. I pick CD if we're going to do NFL player.
Yeah,
so what about Creed or someone then?
Well, it's just they're not going to play because you're going to have a guy from either a Thursday night or Monday night game. And so Creed is in freaking Brazil on Friday night. So like I just don't think it's going to happen.
How do you because they're playing there. I was like, how do you have Creed's schedule off the dome?
No, I just know the NFL Week 1 schedule, and also they're playing the Chargers, so that's another reason.
Yeah,
so
there you go. That's funny. All right, well, I think that's all we have for today's podcast, boys. But it should be a really fun week of content. We'll have a special Michigan preview. Bringing out my good friend Greg Waddell from Sleepers Media. Great. That should be a great conversation. Looking forward to talking to him about, the Michigan side of things. And then all of us will be back together on Wednesday. I think all of us. A collection of us will be back together on Wednesday for the weekend spread. Yeah, all of us will be back for the weekend spread to make our picks and inevitably probably spend 20 minutes talking about week 1.
I'm going to destroy Blake and Ty. I'm going to destroy them.
You picked the same thing that we did.
I'm going to destroy you either way.
Yeah. We thought y'all would. Yeah, of course we thought Alabama was going to beat Florida State, but
just get ready for it, Ty. Prepare your defense.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good, but should be very fun. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to subscribe if you like watching on YouTube. If you like listening, make sure to give us a 5-star review. Love to help grow our podcast. But anyways, y'all have a great rest of your Labor Day weekend. We'll see you later down the road here this week. Have a good one. Boomer Sooner, everybody.